Well, good evening, race fans. Welcome back once again. It is time for the Alliance Sim Racing Solarguard St. Gobain. It's a mouthful. Supercar Championship Season 6 now moves into round 3 as we get over to Algarve for what promises to be another round of amazing supercar racing. It is, of course, Portugal. It's a very modern track and has some really interesting features which we'll chat about in just a moment. Welcome back once again. If you're joining us for the first time, a very big welcome to you for your first look at what is some of the best supercar racing you'll find anywhere on the iRacing service. My name is Jared Cole, and it's a pleasure to have along with me in the booth tonight Josh Harris, fresh back from a week at Bathurst in the real world. Josh, have you recovered yet? That's the big question.
Absolutely not, mate. You don't recover from Bathurst that quickly. But we're not here to talk about Bathurst. We're here to talk about Algarve, and I couldn't be more excited. Couple of reasons. It's been a little while since I've been in the booth with you, Jared. I'm excited to be here. Algarve's a pretty cool track, but I'm not sure that I want to do it in a supercar. I'm not that disappointed that my teammate Ryan Palmer's out there tonight instead of me. And just quietly, Jared, maybe the hint of rain tonight, which should be a little bit exciting.
Yeah, look, conditions right now are looking pretty good, although that track temperature looks horrific. 52 degrees means very slippery conditions. The air temp, beautiful, 25 degrees, definitely humidity around, and there are clouds and potentially some rain in the forecast for a little later on this evening. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Tonight's format, 12 laps in the first race, a sprint to start us off for the evening, 30 laps in race 2 with a reverse top 5 grid. There are 2 compulsory stops in race 2 to be taken, and of course a 60% fuel restriction on these cars. So drivers will have to think about their pit strategies and how that plays in. Before we do get into it for this evening, I do want to take a bit of a moment to take a bit of a wander around the track. Simon Haynes once again providing us with a beautiful onboard view of Algarve. So if you're not familiar with it, let's get into it and take a bit of a look at what Algarve has to offer. Josh, you're the driver here. I'm going to hand over to you, mate. Tell us what you see as you go around this beautiful Portuguese circuit.
Jared, it's a fantastic track. Lots of runoff here, but a huge amount of undulation. As you can see, we've come down through that last corner, and this front straight goes forever. Big drop off here into turn 1, surprisingly fast. Missed that sausage curve on the inside. It'll do horrible, horrible things. Fast second right-hand corner here, and then hard on the brakes, down a couple of gears into almost a hairpin. Into what I think is turn 4, probably one of my favourite corners on the whole track, Jared. It's up over a rise. The car wants to get really flighty. You get a whole heap of oversteer and then another big long run into a hard stop tight corner. This is a track designed for supercars. Big long straights, hard braking, tight corners, hard on the power now. And as you can see, we're just immediately back into an uphill climate. Another really fast right-hander coming here, Jared. Once again, missed the sausage curve. Try and get more apex than Simon did just then. But another big stop, tight corner. And now we set into probably the toughest part of the track. The cars will be light over that rise, Jared. You will get wheel spin. Really fast, full commitment left-hander there, and then this double right is absolutely awful, Jared. You just can't see this second corner. More undulation down this big hill. Great corner here at the bottom of the compression. All the weight's on the tyres. It means that the car really grips up. Another hairpin, another sausage curve. Jared, I can't state it enough. This is a track that is designed for supercar racing. All of these big stops. One final hairpin here, Jared, and then probably the biggest commitment final turn that I know of. It is fast, it is long, and it is downhill. It is so hard to get that right, and you are at full throttle for so long. It is absolutely critical to holding your position. That is a lap of Algarve. It goes quickly, but there is no time for rest. You are absolutely working the entire time, Jared.
Yeah, look, it's a tough track, and although I haven't been around it in a supercar, I can tell you my experience here was in the Porsche Cup cars, and it is surprising just how much commitment you need with so little visibility. A lot of blind crests here, and it's going to catch a few drivers out tonight, I reckon. The question will be, if they do get caught out and they end up, just finding themselves spun around on the opposite side of a crest, just how many cars are going to run into them on the other side? It's dangerous. It's got a lot of risk to it, and if we do get the forecast rain this evening, geez, that adds a whole other element tonight, doesn't it? That threatens to bring some races undone potentially. Let's take a look at the standings as the qualifying finishes up in the background. Some big news this week. Connor Nixon, an amazing first couple of rounds, unfortunately forced out of the rest of the season with some personal stuff going on there. Connor, mate, we hope you're doing well. We hope it's nothing too serious. Real shame to have you out of the running for this season. An amazing opening couple of rounds, and we'll just have to see how that rolls on through. Jason Bentz in second with Dean Logsdale not too far behind. Ken Latta, Wayne Walker, Andrew Rushworth all still well and truly in contention, as is Mick Whiting, Sean Vandermeulen in there as well. Matt Vanderkran and Chad Varga round out your top 10. So still some points to come, a long way to go in this championship. Lots of drivers in the running still, Josh, and it will be interesting to see just what the shake-up becomes with Nixon now out of the running.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you move Nixon off the top there. Only 5 points separating second and third. It's going to be a really exciting showdown. But still so long to go, Jared. It's only round 3. We've got some really fun stuff to come, and it's devastating to see Connor not here, but it's still going to be an amazing championship.
Always is, mate. Always is. We'll go through the grid for race number one. Wayne Walker and Dean Logsdale take the front row ahead of Matt Vanderkruijs and Jim Capronis, then Luke Orman and Phil Manuel. Chad Varga and Ken Latta on row number 4 ahead of Mick Clifton and Jason Bentz, making up your top 10 here this evening. Mark Poynton and Andrew Rushworth ahead of Damon Fisher and Matthew Fu, then Stephen Varga and James Hardy line up ahead of Jamie Dyke and Joel Osterval. Troy Sipple and Jamie McKnight sneak on in to the top 20. Brad Hayes and Shane Cudby behind them, then Craig Rose and Craig Shulsworth, Rick Varga and Andrew Johnston ahead of David Logsdale and Alex Kiedis, rounding out the grid for this evening. It will be a very, very interesting one. A bit of a smaller field this time around, and I'll be honest, I reckon the threat of rain probably keeping a few people away this evening. What do you reckon, Josh?
Yeah, that's pretty normal, Jared. But it's a bit shame. It's a bit of a shame, sorry, that happens. I think that racing in the rain's a whole heap of fun. Ryan Palmer jumping in the chat. The track is so very hot. He says he's not wrong. 53 degrees is going to be a challenge.
Absolutely
it is
brutal.
If I was you, Ryan, I would stop putting comments on YouTube, sorry, and start going away and cooling yourself down, because it's going to be a long, hot night.
That it is for sure. Big hello to everyone in the chat. Simon Haynes jumping on in. Ryan dropping his comments as well. G'day, Andrew. Good to have you along. And Mitch from the sidelines tonight, mate. It's probably not the worst of the sessions to miss this evening. We'll go on down to the track and get ready to go racing here for race number 1 as the drivers make their way out to the starting grid. We'll see a few of the drivers yet to line up. Matt Vanderkruijs, the front runner at the moment as we wait. There's Dean Logsdale jumping in. Wayne Walker still ahead. Sean Vandermeulen out as well. Not a fan of the rain. Yeah, look, it's looking pretty dry at the moment. What is interesting here, I am noticing a few wet tyres on the grid. Now, whether they're expecting some very, very early rain or not, or whether that's a bit of an error in the setup, I don't know. That's a bold choice. Luke Orman's got wets on. Mick Clifton's got wets on. Damon Fisher's got wets on. Andrew Johnston and David Logsdale and Alex Kiedis down the back all have wets on as well. So is this a calculated risk they're taking? Are we expecting rain that soon? I don't have the radar in front of me right now, but that's an interesting approach for sure.
Yeah, I'm very, very surprised by that, Jared. I think that's either a mistake or they have a far more intimate relationship with the man upstairs than I do, and they've got some details that I don't. But it's we probably shouldn't dive into that too far, Jared.
Let's wait and see what happens. Wayne Walker on the front has the wets on as well as we go racing here for race number 1 this evening, lap 1 of 12. And we get heading on down towards turn 1. Primera awaits as the grid starts to get into turn 1. We are 5 and 6 wide on the way through. Not surprising to see here. There's a lot of space at the start of this track, and everyone needs to just try and get themselves sorted out pretty early. We've already got Chad Varga with a black flag. Must have jumped the start ever so slightly there, but otherwise a very, very clean run. And plenty of room on this track. You can see him actually managing side by side pretty nicely at the moment. Matt Vanderkruijs out in front, a huge bit of a gap early on. Dean Logsdale already a full second behind. You've got to wonder, with Wayne Walker being on the wets, how much that's impacted him. We've seen this issue before, Josh, where our telemetry doesn't necessarily reflect accurately, but it really does look as though a few of these drivers have elected to risk the wets early on. With a track as hot as this, that's a big, big gamble, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. One thing I'll note, Jared, Haley is in the chat and has wished ADHD well. I don't know whether it was other people being on wets or Haley's kind words, but Ryan Palmer up 10 spots in half a lap.
Make that 11 now as he makes it up the inside again.
Says that some of our there's got to be some people on wets. Ryan's a good driver and he's certainly quick, but
he's not that quick. Let's be honest.
Absolutely carving through this field. He's no. Look, he won't like me saying this, but he's not 11 spots in under a lap.
No, God, no.
The challenge here,
with all respect to
the guys who are on and look, also, Wayne Walker down 5. Wayne Walker's not a down 5.5 lap kind of guy either. The challenge here is going to be, if you've started on wets, how much damage do you do to them before the rain comes? So you are going to lose a considerable amount of time on the wets compared to the dries.
Here goes Ryan Palmer up the inside of Wayne Walker. I mean, that tells you everything, doesn't it?
There
It's
you go.
being on the dries and getting immediately into it. Like, Ryan Palmer is on dry tyres and looking to make the most of this. The real question here, like, Wayne Walker's going to be a fantastic guide as to just what impact this has. He's ordinarily very, very quick, already down 7 spots since the start, because he's doing everything he can to look after those tyres. You can see a few clouds starting to gather, but he's absolutely going to chew those tyres while it is dry and hot. G'day Ninja, a lot of questions in the chat there around the rain. Yes, the track is bone dry and about 50 degrees at the moment. It will get very, very slippery very quickly once the rain arrives, but who knows when that'll be. For the moment, a number of these drivers out there on wets are really, really struggling, and for such a short race, you've got to wonder about the decision to actually run on wet tyres rather versus the dry tyres. Jamie Dyke and Matthew Fu here as well, just coming up behind Wayne Walker, and I reckon it's got to be surprising for these drivers to see them closing in on someone who they know ordinarily just walks away from them.
Yeah, I think, Jared, so I've seen the forecast for tonight, and my understanding, the way that I read the forecast, is that rain is guaranteed tonight. Oh, Wayne Walker there, huge moment in the last corner. So easy to do here with all the undulation. He's done well to catch that, Jared. But of course, the point I was about to make was that whilst we know that there's rain coming, we don't know exactly when it's going to come. Now, there will be time when it rains. Wayne Walker's not going to have to pit. He's already got his wets on. But how much damage has he done to his race time before that rain comes? So, are guys like Matt Vanderkrant so far out in front that they can pit and still be in front of Walker? And if not, if it's pretty close, how much damage has Wayne Walker done to his tyres compared to the guys who put brand new wets on? And will we see guys come out behind Wayne Walker on fresh wets but still run him down because his wet tyres are absolutely destroyed from however many laps of dry running he's going to do?
And take a look, like, as you've been chatting about this, Josh, this humidity has already jumped to 82%. We started with about 45% humidity in the qualifying session, and since you've been talking, humidity's gone up almost 10%. The rain is going to arrive very soon, I'm sure, 84% now, so it's 100% on its way, but only a fairly light breeze, 8 kilometres an hour, and we see contact there. That's Luke Orman getting a big nudge, manages to keep it on track, which is pretty surprising considering he's on wets. The grip will be very, very limited. Yeah, the track is very, very hot and still bone dry. Those guys are on wet tyres. You've got to wonder just how much damage will be done, and I think Wayne Walker will have to be the case that we keep a very close eye on. You can see the shadow just starting to come across now as the clouds do start to roll on in. But down 11 spots, Walker's got so much work to do. I mean, sure, he'll pick up a lot of time when these other drivers do have to pit for dries, but, well, there it is already. Here comes the rain.
There's the rain.
All right, it's starting to arrive now. Keep in mind, folks, that as our cameras zoom in and out here, iRacing does have a tendency to just hide the raindrops until you get out to a certain level of zoom. So it's still there. There we go. Still happening. It's not actually coming and going as much as it looks on the broadcast. It's just the field of view that our cameras get does tend to look through the raindrops as we make our way around. So this will change really, really quickly here because that rain is arriving now. This is the main pack that we see on wets, and I'll give you a bit of a view here of just where the tyre compounds are sitting. These are the compounds right now. Wayne Walker is the front runner that's already on wets, but take a look at all of the other drivers on wets. Really, Andrew Rushworth just ahead here is the next in line who is going to need to, or is going to be able to skip the pit stop. Wayne Walker now, the gap to Matt Vanderkraan out in front is, what, about 20 seconds, which is not massive, but it also means that Walker, if he comes, Matt Vanderkraan, if he comes on out, in the next lap or two, because he can still get another lap or two in here before he really needs to pit for the wets. It's raining, but it's not that hard. It's I reckon it's a brave call. Accelerate Sim Racing saying at the master stroke. I don't know. I reckon 3 or 4 laps at the pace they're pushing with a 50-degree track. I mean, there is a lot of damage you can do to those wets, and they've now got to make it all the way to the end. You can just see the first hint of spray starting to come off the tyres of Jamie McKnight here as they come around. We see a few drivers electing to pit early for the wet, so they're obviously expecting quite heavy rain and they want to get into it fairly quickly. Another group of drivers will be trying to push on and get the best out of their tyres and extend their lead while the track's still dry enough for it. And right at the moment, that tiny little bit of spray coming off the tyres, not going to be enough to cause too much trouble. But as you see the spray starting to build behind the cars, and you can see already a little bit of a wiggle there from Ryan Palmer, the track immediately starting to get fairly hazardous, and I dare say he'll be looking to come in this lap to get switched over to the wets.
Ryan's done a little bit of running. I was talking to him today. He's comfortable that he knows the cutover time between dries and wets, Jared. So we were really talking about race 2, where we know that race 2 is going to start in the wet and it's going to dry out. And so we were talking about, you see there, huge lock up and understeer moment. But Ryan did work out when the wets become faster. We will keep our eye on lap times to see when that happens on our screen. But it's going to be interesting to see whether anybody did lots of damage to their wet tyres. But of course, those who started on wets, they don't have to go to the pits. So Wayne Walker, he last lap did a 155.5. All the guys at the front were doing 151s and 152s. I wouldn't be surprised if this lap is slow enough that the wet's faster. And you can see there everybody diving to the right. So we have reached that critical time. The only question now is, did Wayne Walker and everyone else who started on wets do more damage to their wet tyres than it was worth? But I've got to be honest. If they didn't, and if they can keep up their respectable wet weather lap times, then it's going to be a big brain move. There's no doubt about that. As we see now, Wayne Walker has gone through the lead. Andrew Rushworth very quickly passing a bunch of people. Everybody falling down the order. There's lots and lots of people in the pits, Jared.
Yeah, and look, maybe this was the race to try it out, right? The sprint race, you don't have a lot of time to get those wets really up and running again. We see a bunch of drivers coming back out from the pits now. Alex Kiedis carrying a black flag. I imagine a bit of a pit lane speeding infringement there, and that's going to really cost him. You can see Wayne Walker and Andrew Rushworth out front. We will keep a very, very close eye on these times, because that will be what's most telling here, won't it, Josh? Is with these few drivers that did start on the wets, how is that going to look as these other drivers get fresh wets? Is there going to be a great deal of difference in the pace that they're actually able to maintain, or have they managed to look after the tyres well enough that there's not really going to be any damage done? I'm not sure it's something that's really modelled particularly well in iRacing. A big moment there for Alex Kiedis as he gets a little bit of a wiggle on just ahead of Mick Clifton. Up and over the crest they go, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But as it stands, Wayne Walker, Andrew Rushworth, Luke Ullman, Damon Fisher, Mick Clifton, Alex Kiedis, all drivers who started on wets and look to be pretty well established out in front. Massive shout out to Kiedis. If it wasn't for that black flag, he'd be in a great spot. In fact, I actually think that might be potentially a drive-through penalty or something that's been issued. But right now he's up 23 positions. He's going to lose a fair bit of that by having to complete that penalty, which is a bit of a shame for him. But Andrew Rushworth up 10 spots, a massive, massive gain.
Yeah, absolutely, and doing a fantastic job. That black flag, I haven't seen anything come through saying that it was a race control issue black flag, Jared, but if there was speeding on the departure of the pit lane, you do cop a drive-through. And we see now that spray, that is genuinely wet now,
Oh.
Jared. I'd love
Is that a
to see...
disqualification for Kiedis?
That could be. If he had that black flag for too many laps and didn't realise or just chose to not agree with it, yeah, that certainly looks like a disqualification for me. You do only get 3 laps to serve an iRacing given black flag, so we'll have to see what happens next time by.
That's the first time I've seen that flag. There it is. Alex Kiedis is confirmed as disqualified for not serving that penalty in time. That is absolutely brutal for him, and I do wonder whether he just wasn't aware or didn't keep track of the lap count. I've never seen that coming up before. First time for everything, I
One thing I've
suppose.
noticed, Jared. Yeah. But one of the things I've noticed as a racer is this new UI that they've got in iRacing. You can move stuff around, and there's certainly been things that I've moved around, and then realised, that things aren't as prominent, and there's every possibility that Alex Kiedis moved his his alert around shortcuts and black flags and stuff, or made it smaller or something like that, and now that's just gone away unnoticed up in the corner of his screen, and he hasn't seen it to know to serve the penalty. But that is huge news, Jared. I would love to jump on board with one of these guys thick in the battle of things. I want to see how wet it is, but also I want to show everyone at home just how bad this spray is. When you are
contact with Logsdale there. Logsdale goes around. Vanderkraan as well, almost losing it. Oh, that was close.
Yeah,
that was Poynton as well.
We're on board with Poynton. Looks like he's redressing. He knows that that's his mistake. He'll wait for Logsdale to come back past. He is only just a little bit behind. We'd love to see that. But if we jump forward, we'll go and have a look at the replay. That's actually probably a far better idea than mine, Jared. As we see here, David Logsdale, has a spin right in front of, I believe that'll be
Jamie
Dave
McKnight.
Coleman.
Jamie McKnight it was,
Jamie
getting caught
McKnight,
up in that.
yeah, on colours.
And then across to the other Logsdale, Dean Logsdale gets a little bit loose, comes across in front of Point and taps Matt Vanderkraan at the same time. And Jim Caperonis sneaks on through.
Look, a real shame because, Poynton probably did the right thing there by getting out of it, but not a huge amount he could do. And as we see now, look at the sitting water, Jared. This is when driving becomes genuinely difficult. I would not be surprised to see.
Oh, big slide there, and these drivers just trying desperately to find some kind of a line that they can actually take through here. Of course, the regular racing line gets so slippery as the water just sits on top of the rubber there. You can see these drivers just experimenting with different approaches. Further back, we've got a little bit of a battle going on here. Troy Sipple has Ken Latter and Joel Osterwald right on his tail as they come through the same kind of section. And it does look like Ken Latter's going to get around the outside. He's got plenty of pace. Will he have the grip, though? Sipple pushing him right to the edge. Osterwald in the background, desperately looking for a way through. Latter and Sipple stay side by side as they come up over the crest. Sipple has to drop in behind. He's now going to be under pressure from Osterwald as Ken Latter puts the foot down and pulls away. The rain continues to fall and so much water building up so quickly here. It's only lap 9 of 12, and if this rain continues, yeah, as you said earlier, Josh, the amount of spray these drivers will have to deal with in race 2 will be pretty legendary.
Yeah, and it's something that a lot of people probably don't realise, and when we get a chance, I'd love to get back on board with someone who is tucked in behind, because this big long front straight, when you're tucked in behind there, just look at that. Like I can't comment enough, Jared, that look, you see that you're tucked in behind those cars, and we're lucky on this front straight that there's a little bit of room to get out of that slipstream and be able to see what's going on. As we see there, Logsdale goes wide. Poynton has a huge moment. That was massive. That will have gotten his attention. And now he just tries to get pulled up and through this hairpin as he moves past Clifton, who's got he's got a meatball flag, so he's had an off and made contact with the wall. And just look at the handwork, Jared. These cars are not easy to drive at the best of times. And put a bit of water down, and it becomes a genuine challenge.
It absolutely does. Jason Benson, Dean Logsdale getting into it just ahead of Phil Manuel here, and you can see the drivers just struggling to find any kind of grip right now. It is. Look, it's not the wettest track I've seen, but it's definitely picked up a lot of water very quickly. It looks almost like the sun's out, but I tell you what, it absolutely is not as sunny and dry as it looks. Remember, a lot of the rain itself you won't actually see as our cameras zoom in, so it is still coming down. And Algarve with its elevation, Tim Lawson picking it up very, very astutely there. The elevations here create almost a creek at the bottom of each of these hills that the drivers have to try and navigate. And you can see it there. Look at the amount of water just sitting on the inside of the track here. Just a couple laps to go. And look, Wayne Walker absolutely not feeling the impact from running those wets to start. He's looked after them well. He's hammering out pretty consistent 203s, as are the rest of the front 3 or 4. Really, it's going to play in very, very nicely, and he's already, what, a good 6.5 seconds up on Andrew Rushworth, who again is 6.5 up on Allman. There's a lot of space out in front as those drivers have come off best overall, really.
Yeah, absolutely. They've done a really good job, and it was a really big move, as we see there. Mick Clifton doing his best to stay out of the way and just to spin right in front of Ryan Palmer there. I'm not sure whether we've got a shot of exactly what happened to Mick Clifton, Jared, but that is a huge amount of damage, and he's
going to see if we can find it. So this is Jim Caperonis as he looks to get past. So Clifton's gone off the track somewhere just up ahead here. I don't know quite where it's happened, but it looks to be somewhere around about here. So let's go have a look and see if we can find this. Here we go. Is this just a case of no grip, gets out onto the paint, which is never a good thing, comes back over the ripple strip there, so no great concerns there. Has a few people come through. What caused all this damage to Clifton's car? It's a huge amount. It's like he's gone into a wall somewhere. We might jump ahead a little bit, but I do want to try and track this down. It's already happened here, so I don't know what's happened.
On the front straight, Jared.
I think he's gone into a wall on the front.
Come through that, or down through that last corner potentially. A big tank slapper that's put him in the outside fence, but nonetheless, he has definitely made contact with the wall. That is a huge amount of damage. And we now jump back to the live pictures as we see Mr. Jamie Dyke all over the back of Phil Manuel, really giving him a bit of hurry.
Yeah, this battle
it's fantastic racing here at the back of the 10, Jared. It's not usually where we see Jamie Dyke, but he did have to have a pit, and it is. No, it's really good. I love this racing. This is really difficult to do in the rain, but it is super fun. It's a genuine challenge when you finish a race in the rain and you've been racing hard with people and you've dealt with all that spray. It's genuinely a rewarding experience.
As we see the two teammates, Luke Allman and Damon Fisher, going at it just behind this group for 5th, behind Matt Vanderkine. Jim Caperonis right on his tail. Mark Poynton's still in it. Jason Bentz has caught them in a great hurry. So they've only got really just on 2 more laps to do here. And Vanderkine's hanging on to 5th for the moment, but under quite a bit of pressure from Poynton and Bentz, with Caperonis right on Vanderkine's tail as well. These 4, it's not done yet. We've still got a good lap and a half to go here, and Vanderkine's going to be doing everything he can to hold them off. I think Walker out in front, Andrew Rushworth in second. A brilliant outcome for Rushworth from Accelerate, up 10 positions just by starting on wets, and he's absolutely called the weather. I don't know how many extra laps they would have been able to hold on those wets though, and still, big moment for Jason Bentz as he tries to charge through. I don't know that he's going to get that done. He's managed to hold it together. I don't know how, but he has managed to keep it on track and just back out of that attempt. He'll be having another go at it though, I'm sure, because if we know anything about Jason Bentz, he's not going to be satisfied to just sit in behind. Mark Poynton, meanwhile, looking for an opportunity to come past Caperonis and have a crack at Van der Kraan. Wayne Walker just coming around to the front straight now, so he'll get the white flag in a moment, and we'll get notification that we are on the final lap of this opening sprint race. And I tell you what, it's been a huge amount of action going on right throughout the field. Trying to keep up with it is a whole other thing altogether, and just trying to find which of the battle packs is the one to watch.
Yeah, and it's been difficult to know which way to turn your head. One thing that I'll say about what Jason Bentz is doing at the moment is that man obviously has brake markers that he's comfortable with on the side of the track, because he is just eating the spray off of the back of Jim Caperonis' car at the moment. As we see him now dive to the inside, he's got to run. He's up alongside. Are they brave enough to take turn 1 too wide? It was the battle of the late breakers. Yeah, absolutely. That was just fantastic driving, and it's really good to see.
And it continues as we get around this last lap. These three, Van der Kraan's built himself a healthy little gap at the moment, so a bit of pressure off him as these three battle it out for what will be 6th place. Mark Poynton starting to get a bit of a run. Jason Bentz looking around the outside of Caperonis, tags the back of Poynton. Poynton goes around, tags Caperonis as well, who ends up just having to pull that back into line. Gets away. Mark Poynton continues. Jason Bentz, rightfully so, gives that position up. I tell you what, just outbraked himself a little bit there. Bentz a little too excited about the idea of picking up that one extra spot, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason Bentz there, no doubt, has been going to the school of Brody Costecchi from the weekend. That was a huge move down the inside. As we see here, hip and shoulder from 10 ladder on Vargs. He gets out of it. He knows that was a mistake, and he immediately opens himself up to Matthew Foe, but runs him wide on the exit of the corner. These guys are more than happy to fight for sheep stations. We do see now Wayne Walker reach the checkered flag. Andrew Rushworth has plenty of time to enjoy that and really savor that finish. And look at the gap back to Allman and Fisher there. They were fighting it out towards the end for the last step on the podium. We do jump back now to
Phil Manuel and Ryan Palmer, Ken Ladder now, and Steve Vargas still in it. And we're just coming into this final corner. Everyone fighting for it in the background. Matthew Fu has a big moment. That's going to allow Andrew Johnston to sneak on through on the final turn. Nothing in it in the end between Ryan Palmer and Phil Manuel. Looks like we may have got a bit of a photo finish there. We'll have to go back and take a look at that one in just a moment, because there looks to be only about 100th in it as Phil Manuel crossed the line with a slowdown. That's going to drop him massively through the order if he didn't clear that in time. Ken Ladder comes across the line. Stephen Varga behind, then Andrew Johnston and Matthew Fu. Let's go back and take a look at this pass for Ryan Palmer and Phil Manuel as they come to the line.
Really impressively, Jared, Ryan Palmer punching out a 2-minute 3.9 versus a 2-minute 5.6 on that last lap. So he had a bit of speed. And he's done a really fantastic job here as we see them come down through what I do believe is the last corner. I have got my corners.
Here it is. They're
a little bit mixed up. There's
now.
the last corner there. And Ryan has obviously gotten a fantastic run out of that last corner. Pulls up alongside. And just look at that. There is nothing in it, Jared.
Let's have a really close look at this, because it's going to be very close indeed. And looks like Palmer's just snuck across there at the death.
1/100th of a second. Look at that. Not even a half a car length. That was as close as you want to get it, and a really fantastic run. I am sure that Ryan will be pretty stoked with that last little bit. He's done well, up 8 spots into 11, but Jamie Dyke up 7 into 10th. It was a good race for a number of those guys. They've done really well.
Absolutely was. The results on your screen now. Wayne Walker takes the win. Masterclass, as was rightfully mentioned, to start on those wets and really look after him all the way through there. Andrew Rushworth taking the second spot for Accelerate Sim Racing with the same strategy. Luke Allman and Damon Fisher for Team AJR also risking it for the biscuit and getting absolutely all of that cookie. Matt Vanderkroon recovered beautifully to get back up into fifth after having to change the tyres, and then Jim Caperonis not too far behind. Mark Point and Jason Benz behind them. Dean Logsdale and Jamie Dyke round out your 10, and there you go. Ryan Palmer sneaking in. What is that? 0.014 ahead of Phil Manuel in the end for 11th over 12th, and Ken Ladder behind, and Steve Varga, Andrew Johnston, Matthew Fu ahead there as well. Just taking a look a bit further back through the field, Joel Esteval, Craig Schultz, Troy Sipple and Brad Hayes rounding out your top 20 as we drop back just a little bit further through the field. James Hardy, Jane McKnight and Shane Cudby there, then Chad Varga and Rick Varga ahead of Craig Rose and David Logsdale. Mick Clifton in 28th. Alex Kiedis disqualified early in 29th. And so, of course, the two safety cars are not actually not picking up any points there, despite what it may look like. They spent the whole time sitting in the pits and probably quite happy to do so, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon so. There's no doubt about that, Jared. But some really impressive driving there. But of course, we now turn our mind to the feature. Pretty long race this one, Jared. 30 laps, 2 compulsory pit stops. Gonna start wet. How long will it? How long will it last? And who can nail that strategy?
That is the question. We'll take a quick break and be right back, ready to bring you all the action from race 2. Don't go anywhere.
Providing the best for your family means a healthy, secure, and comfortable environment. But the daily risks your family faces are often invisible. Solar Guard performance films protect what matters most to you. While you're concentrating on the task at hand, we're protecting your family from uncomfortable solar heat, harmful UV light, and glare. Our window films and protective coatings are designed with decades of technical expertise and provide a vision towards the future. Solar Guard provides added protection to the places where they're needed most, creating invisible barriers for increased security. The people of Solar Guard design carbon-negative solutions that can help reduce energy costs and improve comfort. Allow us to tackle the invisible challenges so you can focus on the important things in life. What matters most to you? We're on it. Saint-Gobain, Solar Guard.
Well, welcome back, folks. We have just a minute or two before the drivers start the grid for race number 2 here. The weather changing dramatically. 50 degrees, the track temp at the start of race 1. Have a look at this, Mr. Harris. Down to 26 degrees. The humidity 91%. I dare say it will not get warm again now that the clouds and the rain have arrived. These drivers in for a very, very different start to race number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure just how wet the track is, but I do believe that there will be water on it. I think that they'll want to be starting on wet. So I did a bit of chatting with my illustrious teammate today, Jared, about the plan, and you can. The magic number is 20 litres to cover your tyres, and you can basically put that in from lap 1. So I think that the game plan for a lot of these guys is to start on wets, do as many laps as they need to, as many or as few as they need to do on those wet tyres, dive in, 20 litres of fuel, change tyres to dries, and then just run until you can fill for home. 48 litres needed on that second stop, so probably a good sort of 12-13 laps as a minimum for that second stint, but it's going to be exciting. I'm interested to see whether anyone is brave enough to start on dries. If this track is wet like I expect, just having a bit of a look down through my telemetry, I do see one Mark Poynton appears to be on dry tyres. Along
Just having a bit of a play around with it, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Here is the grid.
Mark Poynton's... yes, I was looking at the warm-up, Jared, where he may have been just checking to see just how wet.
Well, let's see what happens.
How wet that was.
Absolutely. This is the grid. I do notice that Jamie Dyke checking into the chat, making all sorts of excuses about thinking it was inverted 10, not 5, as if he has that 10th place planned out. But here's how it's actually washed up. Matt Vanderkraan and Damon Fisher take the front row ahead of Luke Allman and Andrew Rushworth, then Wayne Walker and Jim Caparonis, with Poynton and Bentz behind them. Dean Logsdale and Jamie Dyke round out your top 10. Phil Manuel and Ken Latta behind them on row 6, then Stephen Varga and Andrew Johnston. Fu and Oosterweil on row number 8. Craig Schultz and Troy Sipple behind them, ahead of Brad Hayes and James Hardy. Then Jane McKnight and Shane Cudby, with Chad Vigar and Rick Vigar ahead. Craig Rose and David Logsdale, then followed by Mick Clifton and Alex Kiedis. That is your grid for race number 2 here. We are getting ready to go racing. Plenty of wets on the grid, save for one Jim Caparonis, who appears to have dries. Mark Poynton also gridding up with dry tyres on. So a few different schools of thought as to what this second race will bring. Let's go down to the track and take a look at just what it looks like, shall we? Because I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this one. You can see there's still a bit of standing water around, but the rain seems to have passed for now, and so a few drivers really making the opposite gamble here, aren't they, Josh? They're betting on these dry tyres coming good within a few laps and being able to pick up some time while everyone else pits in.
Thing though, Jared, in my opinion, is that you still have to do 2 compulsory pit stops in this race. So if the wets are only faster for 3 laps, then that's fine. You just do 3 laps on wets, you jump into the pits, you put your dries on, and you go. I cannot see that there's benefit from starting on dries, because you're going to start on dries, you're going to be slower at the start, and you're still going to have to do 2 pit stops. But lights are on. We are about to see what happens and whether I'm right or wrong.
Well, only one way to test it out, and let's get racing. Vanderkraan gets away beautifully. Look at the start from Jamie Dyke as he lights the tyres up, coming up the inside. All sorts of sideways on his way down towards turn 1. Just trying to bring the temps up in the tyres quicker than the other drivers, I suppose. That's my only explanation for it. But he's immediately up into 6th place, wasting no time. Look at that puddle of water sitting right in the middle that all of these cars are going to be coming through here. Very, very slow in turn 1. You can see in the background that looked like Mark Poynton getting very loose indeed. He's ended up off the track somewhere back over that crest. The dry tyres not playing out for him at all. We've had a few cars caught up in that. Jim Caparonis, Craig Schultz gets a meatball, so he's copped a bit of damage back there. We'll go and we'll take a look at it in just a moment. But out in front, Matt Vanderkraan and Wayne Walker starting to set the pace already as we get underway here. Jason Bentz in 11th, the top rated of the drivers on dry tyres at this early stage. Perhaps just a little bit more water in those valleys than some of the drivers were expecting to begin with.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, we see Matthew Fu, Mark Poynton, Jim Caparonis all
and there's Jason Bentz off the track on the dries.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say exactly that, Jared, that we've only got 4 drivers on dries and 3 of them have already been off the track and they're down the back. So not the start that they would have hoped for. It was a huge gamble and it immediately appears to have not paid off. I also noticed at the start, Jared, and I'm not sure whether we'll get any view of it, but I think it was Jamie McKnight was well and truly committed on the inside at turn 1, and then I saw him in the background on the outside at turn 2 off in the weeds. So not sure whether there was a huge moment there for him, but he has certainly not gained as many positions as I would have expected him to at the start of this race. And then there's a couple of other drivers. Mick Clifton up 17 into 11th spot. He has absolutely made the most of some shenanigans at the start of this race.
And shenanigans there were indeed, as we wait for the front of this pack to go. Oh, big moment for Ken Latta. Spears off the track in the background. So he'll pick up a nasty little slowdown for that one. And look, probably rightly so. That's not quite the line, is it? As you make your way down through turn 1 and into 2. Let's go back and check out some of the early casualties. Oh, it's still a mess out there. It's still a mess out there.
Jamie Dyke was fully on the lock stops there, and Ryan Palmer did not need 2 invitations to dive down the inside. However, can he keep it there? We now go round to the left. Jamie Dyke will have the better run, but of course it now goes back double right-hander. Ryan Palmer staying tough. He hangs there on the inside. That was a big move, and he gets it done. It took him 3 corners, Jared, and it took a serious level of commitment, but he did manage to make that move. And you know, any time that you're passing Jamie Dyke is a good time when you're in a pink and blue ADHD car. I will assure you that.
A little bit of experience there, talking, of course. Let's go back and check out a couple of those early incidents as the field starts to kind of settle into this, although there's still plenty of close battles going on in this group here. Fisher, Rushworth, Palmer, Dyke, Logsdale, Manuel, Ken Latta, all in the running at the moment. We can see the track starting to dry in places, but still plenty of water around. James Hardy looks to be one of the early casualties here, as you see. Oh, there comes McKnight. So that explains a little bit of what happened there. Jay McKnight coming out of absolutely nowhere. Let's maybe go back and just see with an eye on Jay McKnight here. You said earlier, committed up the inside. You're not wrong. What's happened? He's had to go out, hits the water, gets all sorts of sideways and takes James Hardy out. So no doubt we'll be seeing a little bit of something come out of that one. Troy Sipple as well gets a big nudge there from the privateer. Shane Cumpy, I think that was, coming through. Mark Poynton we did see just getting all sorts of sideways, gets the foot down and just turns himself, at the same time just causes chaos around him. And I think that might have been Stephen Varga caught up in it there as well, as Poynton tries to get it rolling. So an incredibly eventful first lap. Jim Caparonis, the poor bloke, just getting the same sort of treatment from that puddle. Is this going to be the Bathurst Enduro all over again? Is this going to be the puddle that undoes so many drivers tonight? Only time will tell, as we see a drive-through penalty for car number 29. That is Mark Poynton for the incident earlier on with Stephen Varga. And that was the one we were just taking a look at. Jay McKnight comes in and will be looking to get back out on, I suspect, some dry tyres by the look of things. That's an early change, but I can already see that the track is starting to dry out, so it's just a question of timing really for all of these cars. Phil Manuel right now is closing in on the back of Ken Latta and looking to try and put a move on here. A lot of kitty litter on the ground there, and also a really inconvenient puddle right in the middle of the track where the rest of it around seems to be fairly dry. I don't know about you, Josh, but these conditions look terrifying to me.
This is where things really start to get fun, Jared. You've got just enough grip that you have confidence in the car, but you still get to do some of the fun slidey stuff. So it's challenging. There's no two ways about that. We do see now a fastest lap for Ryan Palmer, of all people.
Vanderkraan first, Wayne Walker next, and then Palmer picks it up as well.
And then somehow Ryan Palmer has pulled out a lap even faster than those two. But we're down to a 2 minute. I did ask Ryan in the break what he thinks the cutover time between a wet and a dry is, and he said that he's anticipating that it'll be somewhere about a 1 minute 57. So it shouldn't take too many. Yeah, absolutely. It shouldn't take too many more laps. And what I think will happen at a 1:57 is you'll be very, you'll be far faster in a lot of spots on a dry, and then you'll have a couple of corners where there's a bit of standing water and you'll be significantly slower. But the overall lap time will be better, and you'll just be able to drive away. But I think another. Given how quickly this has dried up so far this race, I reckon another 3 or 4 laps, and we'll start to see the first of the big slip tires.
Well, this is the man to watch. Jamie McKnight, the first driver to risk it in the first pit stop and put the dries on. We've had pit stops from Jason Bentz back to Mark Point. Now, some of those will be coming in for a bit of repair and perhaps a bit of a penalty to serve here and there. But Jamie McKnight has made the switch onto dry tyres, so keep your eye on his times as he comes through. Now, this is the first lap out of the pits, 2:56, not surprising. Keep a very, very close eye, though, on his next lap, and we'll see just what the track can deliver as we jump forward. Jim Caparona sets the new fastest time back in 27th, 2-minute .146. Chad Vigar has a train of cars building up behind him. Alex Kiedis, Mick Clifton, Andrew Johnston in the background just goes a bit wide on that turn. Brad Hayes, his teammate, catches up. Wayne Walker is in. I reckon we'll see him switch over to dries now. He feels like it's close enough. Jamie Dyke comes in from 7th. So already drivers starting to think about making the switch. That does leave Matt Vanderkrant out in front, and it'll be up to him to decide when he sets the tone, because I reckon these 4, 5, 6 cars behind him will be watching him very, very carefully and using that as the indicator to switch across.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see there's just a little bit of dryness starting to pop out. And for a decent percentage of this track, Jared, I would be saying the same thing, that we're starting to think about dry tyres. But the reality of that becomes that the parts that are too wet are very, very much too wet, and you also fall into that trap where you've really got a set of tan tracks. It becomes very difficult. What is the better outcome? You might be a second or two a lap faster, but if you can't pass someone because you can't possibly leave the centre tracks, well, you may just find yourself a little bit upset. I'm always one for going, 1 or 2 laps longer, but plenty of these guys pretty experienced and pretty talented in these cars, and they may very well choose and do really well at getting onto the slicks early.
Well, an interesting one. Wayne Walker has come back out on wets. Jamie Dyke also back out on wets. Hasn't actually changed anything. I wonder if he's just gone into to pick up perhaps some repairs. He only spent 5 seconds in there, so that's a very, very quick stop. Maybe actually a stroke of genius. Jamie Dyke, here's my prediction on his thinking here. He's actually got enough fuel to stretch out quite some way here. You can really, 60% fuel is still a stack of fuel in these cars, so the 2 compulsory stops are not going to be a challenge from a fuel perspective, but he's made that a 5-second stop to just put a tiny bit of fuel in to meet the pass mark for it being a compulsory stop and come back out with the full intention of running this thing down to absolutely no fuel in it before he swaps to dries at the same time as taking on a full fuel load. That's what I think Jamie Dyke has in mind here.
I guess the other thing, Jared, is that what he may now choose to do is he's done his 1 CPS. It's taken him basically no time at all. And now he is entirely free to choose when to do his second one. So he might be going for a slightly alternate strategy. Interestingly, Jamie McKnight's previous lap, some 10 seconds or 12 seconds slower, nearly 13 seconds slower than the best lap of the race, and certainly 12 and a half seconds slower than the lap time that most other people are doing. So it's definitely not quite time to be on the dries. However, it may be, if you picked up some damage at this point, then you probably would choose to go on to dries. Oh, as we see there,
He just gets too deep under brakes.
Just gets it all locked up. Yeah, and unfortunately gets into Brad Hayes, and then compounding the issue is Hayes having his half spin, picking up the throttle on the way up.
Rick Vigar, though, says thank you very much. It jumps on through and picks up 12th position as a result. We jump up front because Damon Fisher and Ryan Palmer now just starting to get their own little battle going on here behind Matt Vanderkraan. Both lapping still some fairly quick times. Last lap, Ryan Palmer still in the just inside the 2-minute flat mark, with Vanderkraan and Damon Fisher just on the slow side of the 2-minute one. Dean Logsdale behind Palmer, almost a half second quicker. Here comes Vanderkraan. He's in. Palmer, you can see, going in there as well. What will Dean Logsdale do? He's going to continue. So Damon Fisher will now pick up the lead of the race, and Logsdale has a nice clear run the way through as he sets the fastest lap, almost dipping into the 159s, but not quite there yet. It's getting close to that time. You can almost taste it, but we're still seeing a couple of really, really nasty puddles around the place. There's still a little bit of spray coming off in sections as well. Take a look at that one on the left-hand side. That is the real risk. And you can see from the amount of spray coming off the back of the cars, there's still quite a bit of water between that puddle and the edge of the track.
Yeah, there is, and those guys that came in have all changed over to dry, so they're going to be sliding that car around a lot, and what they're relying on is being able to run those slightly wider lines, stay away from the puddles, and I guess countering the guys who came in for their pit stop and changed for dry. So the plan now will be for the likes of Van der Kram, I think Palmer.
Palmer has. No, Hardy has
Palmer
not come in yet.
Dries.
And there's that puddle. There's that puddle, and that's going to be the real challenge for everyone on those dry tyres. It's noting that McKnight did come out on dries. He's actually gone in and he's switched back over to the wet. So he's decided that he's made the call way too early and is back into it. Van der Kran's going to be the interesting one to watch here. He's taken the gamble on the early dry switch. He's still got 23 odd laps to run here. This is either going to play out beautifully for him if he can avoid the water, or he's going to find himself dropping through and regretting his decision, much like Jamie McKnight has.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised that those guys, took the gamble and went early. There's a mandatory 2 stops. There was no real need, in my opinion, to take that early gamble. It's not like it's a 1-stop race, and they want to get out in front and be the trendsetters. But time will tell. We've already seen Ryan Palmer had a little whoop to Daisy, but he's got a nice little gap behind him now. So we'll see whether he can just get his head down and turn out those laps. Matt Van der Kran, as you said, he'll be another one. He's got a lot of experience in these cars. And being able to make that happen. So now we'll just sit back and we'll see what happens here. And of course, like you said, Jared, there's still more than 20 laps to go. There's plenty of running still to come, and everyone in the field needing a second stop.
Wayne Walker has just set the new fastest lap, 158.91 on a wet tyre. That's still very, very quick, but that does say to us that dries are pretty close to that changeover point, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting close, but while ever we're still seeing times drop on a wet, you probably don't expect that you're looking to change over to a dry. But anyway, the boys have, and we'll see how it goes. I'm seeing more people now, although James Hardy has gone into the pits and left the wets on. So
interesting choice.
He's confident that it's going to start. Yeah, it's now we're in that funny spot, Jared, where I think that if you're pitting now, you kind of have to go to dries. Oh, as we see there, was that a little helping hand from Jamie Dyke?
Troy Sipple turns it into his compulsory pit stop.
I was going to say, and did Troy Sipple want to come into the pits, or did he feel that he was left with no options?
Look, I don't think that it really matters at that point. You're going into the pits whether you like it or not at that stage. Sipple has taken the opportunity, though, to get the dry tyres on. He has spent quite a bit of time in the pits, a minute and 5, which says to me that I reckon he probably picked up, I didn't see a black flag, but I reckon he may have picked up a stop and hold for speeding on the pit entry. That's a long time to spend in that pit box otherwise.
That sounds like a 40 seconds. Honest, Jared?
It really does, doesn't it? It's hard to explain any other way. We'll jump forward a little bit. Matt Van der Kran, you can see he's just about to come around for his first real flying lap on those dries. So let's see how he crosses the line. Bearing in mind, Wayne Walker just ahead of him has just hit a 58 flat on that 2 minutes. So he's a couple of seconds off the pace for Wayne Walker, but that does suggest that the crossover point is very, very close indeed. The gap from Van der Kran forward to Wayne Walker, 7 seconds and dropping as Van der Kraan continues here. So as long as he can continue to find a dry line, he may just have fluked the call at this stage. And it's not a complete fluke, I know, I'll give him that. But it was a very gutsy call to switch to a dry tyre so early. Alex Kiedis, a 157 on a wet tyre. So we're still not... I can't say, yeah, I feel like it's definitely dry tyre time, but this is the battle to watch right now, isn't it?
We're there, Palmer 58.7.
On the dry as well.
Yeah, that's right. Matt Van der Kraan's done a 2-minute .3. So Palmer's actually managed to pull out a lap faster on a dry than Matt Van der Kraan has. I think that probably means that Palmer's the fastest at the moment on a dry. But the time
Jason Benz 56.9 on a dry. Jason Benson 25th has just cracked it, so it is absolutely time to get onto those dry tyres. What you're seeing on screen right now, folks, that is the last lap from each of these drivers and their tyre compound. You can see it's a mixed bag, but the standout one there, Jason Benz, fastest lap of the race so far, into the 56s on a dry tyre. There is a line out there that's going to deliver what they're after.
Yeah, and it looks like, am I just seeing there, if I know my numbers correctly, Jamie Dyke has received a drive-through penalty for his little bump on Sips, and I know what that penalty will have been for Sipple.
Whoa!
Darren, it's just dawned on me as I saw
Van der Kraan 154.
What have we got here? Who has gone fast?
154 for Van der Kraan on that last lap. He's just carved 2 seconds out of the fastest lap that Jason Benz ran a moment ago, as we see Brad Hayes get unceremoniously booted out of the way as he tries to get through there. But have a look at this run now. Matt Van der Kraan on Jamie Dyke. Jamie Dyke has the wets on. So this will be a really interesting side-by-side comparison between the two of them. Van der Kraan obviously struggling for traction wherever there is a bit of water on the track, but that long main straight seems to be giving a lot of time back. And certainly a number of these corners, although some really risky puddles of water, you can still see spray being flicked up. Let's go on board with Matt Van der Kraan and just watch ahead the rear end of Jamie Dyke's car and see the different lines they're taking. You see Van der Kraan looking ahead, picking out the dry spots. Look at that spray through that puddle. But Van der Kraan will be feeling very comfortable.
The challenge here, Jared, is that Van der Kraan really is restricted to one line only, and he knows it. So that makes it so hard to pass people. And of course, in the corners, Dyke will be faster. Dyke gives him a hip and shoulder. Jamie has made contact with a couple of people tonight, but he lets that one go. He readjusts that one. The problem for these guys at the moment on their dries is that they only have one line. It's a fast tyre, but only in those tram tracks. So,
and once
as
you get out of them,
Matt Van der Kraan loses those tram tracks and unfortunately points sideways. And this will actually be harder to rejoin than you realise, because everything offline is wet, and Matt Van der Kraan has to rejoin safely. He comes out there into the path, and we saw that closing speed there. Brian Palmer passing. That would have been a significant difference, and I will assure you that that would have been reasonably scary from Matt Van der Kraan's perspective, but it would have been even scarier from Ryan Palmer seeing a car so slow and having to take that wet line. The other thing I noticed, Jared, I'm not sure whether you caught it, there was a car doing all sorts of odd things on the outside of turn one. May have been a fishy car, I'm not 100% sure. Something was happening in front of these guys as well, with someone having a huge moment.
Yeah, look, I didn't actually catch that. I've just been skimming through our telemetry. Jason Benz, I was just looking for his time, because he did actually take the fastest lap on the previous one at 1:53.47. So Benz is absolutely finding the pace on that dry tyre, and you can see a huge group of cars into the pit lane now. They'll all be starting to swap over. The wet tyres really will be, as Jason Benz, as I say that, the commentator's curse strikes in a big way. He is having trouble at exactly the same spot that we saw Matt Van der Kraan run off. So there's obviously enough of a puddle there somewhere that these dry tyres just cannot handle clearing the water, and that's going to cause issues if they hit it over and over again, that's for sure. Ryan Palmer now leading a group of cars. He's got Dean Logsdale, Phil Manuel and Matt Vanderkraan all reasonably close behind as they come around. We're approaching the halfway point of this race, and it's been pretty eventful so far. I've got to say, the drying conditions always throw up a challenge in any car, especially though these Gen 3 supercars. It's such a knife edge at the best of times, and then you throw in a bit of water on the track, and the decisions that you have to make here are very, very challenging for all of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see here Palmer dives in for his second stop. I'm pretty sure that he's going to keep those tyres on, so he'll come out with nice warm tyres. And interestingly, Jared, Palmer was up to second on the group of people on dry tyres, and he is in for his second stop at the same time that those guys that he was racing are in for their first. So when they come out, Jared, Palmer, he will be done. He is now racing home. It's going to be fill absolutely full to the brim and put in a huge 18 lap stint. But, you know, really impressive the position that he got himself into. And, you know, Matt Vanderkraan, Ryan Palmer, there's a couple of them that are really positioning themselves to have an absolutely fantastic run home, and probably done, you know, through a little bit of bravery. We've seen Matt Vanderkraan have a spin, we've seen Ryan Palmer have a spin, but it's still fast enough out there that they're looking pretty good.
Now, we haven't had a call from race control at this point, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the safety car is out on track. I'm just waiting for a visual confirmation here, because I can see Brad Grant showing as out on track right now, and I suspect that Andrew Johnston in front is about to catch up to him. Just trying to do the maths on just how far ahead Brad Grant might be, but I believe we've had a safety car called. I'm going to wait for confirmation of it. Wait and see if we can actually see the safety car out on track. Let me just jump across to him, and sure enough, there he is. So the safety car is out on track right now. We'll throw that one up. I'm not sure exactly when it was called, but I suspect it's got a little bit of something to do with everybody driving into the pits there.
Yes, absolutely. I do agree. I'm just having a bit of a look. So we've got now everyone from Ken Latta in third through to Jason Benson in 21st have done their 2 stops. They're all on dries, just about. We do have, interestingly, Alex Kiedis has done 2 stops and he's still on wets. So I expect that Alex Kiedis is going to need a 3rd stop. The only other one on wets down the back is Dave Logsdale, who's only done 1 stop. So when he does his second, he'll go to dries. Andrew Johnson in the pits at the moment, which will leave Damon Fisher up the front with only 1 stop done. And unfortunately, this means that the safety car will absolutely cruel his race because it punches the field and leaves him having only done 1 stop. But I think that your rounded out order, Jared, is going to end up being Ken Latta, Wayne Walker, Luke Allman, Andrew Rushworth, Dean Logsdale, Phil Manuel, Matt Vanderkraan and Ryan Palmer. So this safety car coming at an absolutely fantastic time for a few people to get their pit stops done and you know, really reap the rewards of everyone going slow.
And Fisher and Alex Kiedis coming in to get off those wet tyres now. Unfortunately, the safety car doing them absolutely no favours in its timing. Although I suppose at least they won't lose quite as much distance to their race leaders at this stage, given that the pace is going to be so much lower. Hopefully their pit crews are absolutely on the money with the changeover of those tyres and a bit of extra fuel to get them home from here. Still got about half the race left to go. The SolarGuard safety car out in front of the pack at the moment, and Ken Latta now sits in the box seat as we make our way around behind that safety car. Wayne Walker, Luke Orman, Andrew Rushworth in behind there as well. Andrew Johnston still sitting. Now this is interesting. Andrew Johnston all the way at the back of the field. I'm not entirely sure how this has happened, but he seems to have ended up a lap up on the rest of the field. And I just wonder if the safety car didn't quite pick him up in time. That's that will be big moment there for is that Craig Rose, just getting a little bit sideways, trying to catch the back of. Look at him go off into the infield. He goes. That's Craig Rose. It is indeed. Andrew Johnston is actually a good lap up on this safety car train. That's a really interesting one. I'm not quite sure if they've picked up on that one. I'm gonna check in now with race control and just see what I can find out.
That's going to be interesting if that's happened, and of course that will present them with some challenges, no doubt. But they will be able to fix it. The simple fix, of course, would be releasing the rest of the field to run around and catch up to the back of Johnson. The problem being that Johnson dropped out of the line to do a pit stop, and will still end up in first. But nonetheless, it'll be what it'll be. I'm sure that they will work through it. But yes, that's a really good pickup, Jared, and I'm not sure what's happened, but very easy to have happen in these situations where you've got to jump out and and pick up a leader. It's a pretty easy mistake to make, really.
Now, in saying that, just showing, I think Andrew Johnston's been instructed to have the field catch him here. Because he's showing his crash. He's not. In fact, he is actually just waiting it out. So race control, I think, picking up on that and deciding to slow him down rather than release the whole field and risk, let's be honest, a pretty massive incident if you were to release this whole field to try and lap back around. I think there's a lot of risk involved in doing that. So probably the right call rather from race control there.
Yeah, the biggest challenge, I guess, Jared, is working out where he slots into this field, because I doubt that he's in a genuine first or a genuine last, if that makes sense. I'm sure that he should, if everything was green, that he should have slotted somewhere into the middle. But nonetheless, we will see what happens, and we'll see how they deal with this. I'm much happier being here, Jared, in the comms box as opposed to trying to be in race control.
Oh, no way am I swapping our role here for race control at this particular moment. Jamie Dyke having a rough run of things. He's just chipping into the chat here. Yeah, it's getting hit on a safety car, never good fun. I'm just trying to find what's happened there. It looks like it might have been was it Chad Fargar and Jamie Dyke coming together, perhaps? We might just let me just go back and take a look at this one. Is this what's happened? Jamie Dyke just, oh no, it's Fargar going into the pits, so that's not the one there. I'm not seeing any crash noted for Jamie Dyke, so it's obviously not been enough to turn him or to drop him below our telemetry threshold to register a crash. But yeah, he's not having a great run this evening. Certainly not his worst either. We've seen a lot worse come across Jamie Dyke's front end before. So hopefully he's able to recover a bit. Sitting in 12th at the moment, not a bad spot to be. Andrew Johnston, meanwhile, just taking a look at where he's sitting. He's definitely waiting for that safety car to catch him up. They're not too far behind though. Here comes the group now. Andrew Johnston's just a couple of corners ahead now of the pack. Yeah, your question though, really valid. Where is he going to slot in? I don't know exactly where he was when the when the safety car was called. So this will be interesting. There's Andrew Johnston. The safety car arrives behind him. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Andrew Johnson picking up the role of safety car.
But just a brief
doing
moment.
a wonderful job at it. It looks like they're going to let him in first place, which is interesting. I don't know, Jared. I don't know well enough where he was or wasn't at the pit cycle to have an opinion on that, but I'm a little surprised. But nonetheless, we will go racing soon, and we'll see how it actually works out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just waiting to see whether we're going to have another lap here or whether we're going green this time around. I don't think we're getting the safety car coming in, so it looks like we've still got another lap. Andrew Johnston's going into the pits, so he's going to take advantage of this and make it a second stop. So regardless of whatever advantage that might have looked like, he's going to drop down through the rating now. There we go. Safety car's going to be coming in next lap around. Thank you, Race Control, for the update. We'll go back and just take a quick look. I'll see if we can pick this up just at the start of lap 13 for Jamie Dyke. Seems to be where he's had the issue. He's had Rick Vigard coming out just in front of him as they get on the gas on the way out. We'll just see where this contact might have happened a little further back through the field. I'll tell you what, an eventful safety car period as always. It looks like it was the start of that lap. Then it must have been a bit further in there. So we're not seeing anything else that suggests too much of an issue.
These safety car sessions, Jared, they're always a bit of fun. When there's mixed conditions and squabbling over positions and stuff. And yeah, unfortunate for Jamie to cop the raw end of a stick there by the sound of it. But nonetheless, he's very fast. We know how fast Jamie Dyke is, sitting in 11th spot. He will have fun coming through. And mate, I know you're listening, so take it from me that you're probably approved to just move Ryan Palmer out of the way in any way that you see fit. I can't say whether you will or won't get a penalty, but I'm more than happy for you to give him a bit of stick as you go past.
Let's take a look at the timings here. I'm trying to figure out how it was that Andrew Rushworth ended up where he was. He was entering the pit lane at almost the exact second that the safety car was driving out of the pit lane. And I kind of wonder whether that's contributed in some way, shape or form. I don't know. I can't quite wrap my head around it. That'll be an interesting one to review. Perhaps on the replay. We're not going to have a bunch of time up our sleeve here because the safety car is coming back around. It'll be handing over control in just a moment to Ken Latta at what is pretty well dead on the halfway point. All the drivers now on dry tyres, with the exception of David Logsdale back in 18th and Brad Grant in the safety car.
It's going to be exciting. We're dead on halfway, Jared. 15 flat out laps to go.
Another sprint race, isn't it?
This. It is another sprint race. Look, it was a slightly longer safety car intervention than we would have liked. It's going to make this race a little longer than normal, but that's okay. It took us a little while to get sorted out. We see now the safety car is pulling away. We do leave this field in the capable hands of Ken Latta. We see the safety car now pulling into the pit lane. Big long straight here, Jared. When do you go? Do you hold everybody up or do you just get on the throttle? The absolute number one key is going to be making sure that you get on the throttle at the right time so that you don't burst everything into wheel spin. And it looks like he's gone now. Ken Latta has jumped and away we go. Just that little bit of spray under these cars, Jared. Some of these drivers won't have driven on dries yet at speed. And it'll be interesting to see whether anything catches them out as they plunge down into turn 1 for the first time around the very fast turn 2 before they get hard on the brakes for what is almost a hairpin turn 3. So far, so good, Jared. Everybody pointing in the right direction. Some battles appearing there. Vanderkraan and Palmer nose to tail. and Jamie Dyke in the background looking like he's thinking about putting on a move already. The pack is, as we see there, a bit of action in the background. Bents, by the look of it, backwards in the fence. And Ryan Palmer and Jamie Dyke both making moves at the same time.
Jamie Dyke has come a cropper though, as has Rick Vigar from that. So we'll have to have a look at that. Maybe go back to it in just a moment. We've got some battles up front though, side by side. Luke Allman and Wayne Walker. Ken Latta out in front, a bit of space to play with. Andrew Rushworth enjoying some clean air, but Luke Allman doing everything he can to hold the carryover champ Wayne Walker at bay. Look at this, Ryan Palmer is off, and he's going to be sliding out the kitty litter. He'll be grateful. There's a lot of runoff there, and Phil Manuel just gets himself back and sorted in behind his teammate Joel Esteval. The 266 Sim Racing team members finding themselves in amongst it all. Ryan Palmer drops back in behind James Hardy, and unfortunately drops him back to 14th. And behind them, the battles continue.
The same puddle there, Jay. There's about 3 of them, all caught out on the same puddle. And we were watching a couple of cars turning nicely to the right, and then all of a sudden it looked like there was 3, if not 4 cars at very high speed, just going straight ahead with absolutely no grip. Those guys will settle down. There's a couple of fast cars that were caught up
that's
in
a
that.
big one for James Hardy. Ryan Palmer into him. Big accident on the main straight. That puddle getting under the wheels, and James Hardy into the wall hard. Save a thought for Ryan Palmer, who's still facing the wrong way, gets it turned around. Lucky to not suffer more damage. That was a huge collision.
I'm not sure how he got out of that with any bit of his car still intact. It'll be interesting to see whether a meatball pops up. It doesn't look like it has, but Palmer all the way down to 25th, and really unfortunate.
Kiedis has slid there and collected a couple of Quantum Racing cars as well. Still, Kiedis taps again. He sent a teammate into another one. Craig Rose, James Hardy behind. Oh, this is really unfortunate. Hardy's going to get it rolling again, but that car is absolutely destroyed on the front end. Wow, what a sequence of events. James Hardy getting caught up again. Oh, and Wayne Walker. That puddle catching everybody out. It's Bathurst all over again, folks. If you missed the Endurance Championship, go back and watch it. It's a long one, of course, being Bathurst 1000, but the puddle at the top of the mountain did much the same thing. Every driver, it seemed, coming a cropper on it, and we're seeing the same thing here tonight. It's a dangerous puddle. These drivers have got to get it sorted out, as Chad Vigar gets caught up with Damon Fisher, who ends up spearing off into the kitty litter, just pulls it up in front of the wall. I tell you what, the cold tyres, coupled with a few puddles, still catching a lot of drivers out right now, aren't they?
I've got to be honest, Jared, I think that it's cold brains as much as it is cold tyres. There's been a few questionable moves here. I'm certainly not suggesting that they all have been. There's been a couple of people caught out in positions where they couldn't help it, but there has been a bit of real drama going on there. And like you look there, Ryan Palmer just left with nowhere to go. And, that was huge. Unfortunately for Ryan, back there because of a mistake that he made on his own. But that double right hand at the top of the hill, Joe, it's a blind corner, and you just can't see. You just can't see the inside, and it's caught a couple of people out. But we now see Wayne Walker, having had that little accident or that little spin last lap, still keeping himself in the top 6, which is a pretty good result, I've got to say.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I do want to go back. I want to take a look at this one, and I'm going to have to get a little bit tricky here with the cameras, but watch this view from Jamie McKnight. Keep your eye ahead. There's Ryan Palmer, the blue and pink ahead. Watch James Hardy ahead of him. McKnight's going to come over this hill. He's going to see the splash there. He's going to see the smoke. Watch Ryan Palmer bounce across the road in front of him. That was so close. So close. Jamie McKnight will need to come in to the pits for a very quick change of underwear after that one.
Yeah, that's a race suit that can go in the bin. There is absolutely no doubt about that. I'd love to see too. I'm not sure whether you can find it, but that same lap, and earlier on when a bunch of them fired off at the top of the hill, Jared. This puddle right here, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. But
Well,
yeah,
Sipple gets very loose coming down the hill as well. He's managed to hang on to it somehow.
Hold it
That
together.
puddle,
Well done.
that
Good
puddle
trade.
there, I think, has been the one. There's one on the outside right of that corner that seems to catch people out as well. It does seem at the moment to be just getting to the point where it's evaporated enough, or at least been hit enough times that there's not a lot of depth left to it anymore. I'm going to try and find that for you. When we saw a bunch of cars caught up in it, I think it was it Jamie Dyke and Rick Vigar getting caught up in it, perhaps at the top of the hill there. We'll have to take a bit of a look at a couple of the incidents. I might jump back to this one with Rick Vigar, and this is just the two of them getting locked in together, a little bit ahead of where we want to have a look at.
It was just after that, Jared. There was, I think it might have been Matt Vanderkraan. It was definitely Ryan Palmer and someone else, but there was three cars that just all fired off at the same time. It was huge. We only just caught the back end of it because we were watching another car, but nonetheless, as we do see here it is. There's that puddle and a number of people. Ryan probably got it the worst, but yeah, that's a really fast part of the track, and just a nasty puddle. Look at that. There we go. Bill Manuel in front.
Dean Logsdale ended up off the road as well.
Yep. Three of them all getting the same puddle, all going straight ahead. Ryan, the one with his foot buried furthest in the loud pedal, to take him the furthest off track. But everything seems to have calmed down a little bit now. We see Ken Latta still out in front, 1.8 second gap. Will we see the likes of Matt Vanderkraan, Dean Logsdale or Wayne Walker, who have all just set reasonably fast times? Will they be able to run it down? Wayne Walker now has the fastest lap of the race, which he stole from Dean Logsdale, who had only had it for a couple of seconds. We are getting set up for a final 10-lap dash. Do the fast guys back in 4th, 5th and 6th have the ability to run? To be fair, the also fast guys that are up in the current podium spots, do we see any changes at the back end of this race, Jack?
Yeah, it's tough to call at the moment. I mean, Wayne Walker and Matt Vanderkraan, you can see swapping positions here as they make their way, battling it out for 5th. Walker definitely with the additional pace. There's plenty of battles though. Rick Vigar, Jay McKnight, look at this side by side. McKnight finds himself on the outside of this one with Craig Schulz from 9.5 just keeping the nose ahead. Vigar's going to have to find a little bit of extra pace here to hold off McKnight, who's going to be on the inside as they come down the hill into the right-hander. And still very slippery on the outside there, so Vigar's got to be really just tiptoeing through. Jack McKnight gets the position up into 13th, and the three of them carry on. We've got another battle further back. Andrew Johnston just hits that puddle, which, again, terrifying. I'm sure Ryan Palmer takes full advantage of that, and he picks up an extra spot up into 19th. Plenty of battles going on right throughout. Andrew Rushworth and Luke Orman out in front at the moment, though, and looking reasonably composed. And not a lot of time left in this. 10 laps to go. They've completed their 2 compulsory pit stops. If they can hold on to this and just maintain the gap to Wayne Walker, then this will be a nice haul of points. Walker is the massive danger right now. Ken Latta, yeah, it's a good call. He's back into 6th now. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there. I would say that would be the off track just a lap or so ago. Let's go back and take a look at this, see what's happened for Ken Latta. Oh, tell me he's found a puddle, that's for sure.
But that happened so fast, Jared. You saw the amount of lock that he had on this. One thing about these cars is that, when they go. And yeah, unfortunate for Ken, he was having a great race. Look at that.
Just immediately flicks back the other way, grabs a little bit of grip once it gets out of the wet, and beers you off the track.
And that's the problem in these conditions with those hot, slick tyres. It really only took a second. He hit that puddle and
Jamie Dyke hits that puddle in the background. Just holds it. There are puddles everywhere at the moment that are causing all sorts of havoc still for these dry tyres.
Thing that I know, Jared, about these cars is, about iRacing, I should say, is sometimes these conditions, depending on what settings you're running with your graphics, if you've got an older system, Jared, and you need to turn a few things off in order to make it work, it sometimes can make it really difficult to see these puddles. Obviously, rain's easy; it falls on your windscreen. Some of these drivers may have a few things turned off, and that may mean that they're struggling to see some of these little puddles on the inside of curbs and things like that.
Yeah, look, it can impact on it for sure. I'm more inclined to think these guys are just pushing the absolute limits of the track and are in a real dry track mindset, forgetting that the puddles are still going to be out there, and you can see them. This corner particularly, look at the spray coming off the tyres. It's still sitting there inside the valley in that track, and the track surface appears dry, but realistically, if you were to go out there onto the real track and take a look at it, you'd probably find that there would be just enough water sitting in between the little chips of rock that are in the track surface, and just enough water sitting there to potentially upset the tyres a little bit.
Yeah, it's still pretty challenging, and the guys are doing a really good job. But yeah, there's definitely still potential.
Dyke hits the same puddle again. 2 laps in a row. That inside puddle there is just Jamie Dyke just struggling to get it back on the track. That's gonna make his bad night even worse. You can see him into the loud pedal, frustrated with himself. That puddle is sitting right on the inside of the red and white curbing, and is almost camouflaged as he comes through to it. But hit it last lap, hit it in a big way that lap as he chased down Joel Estval, and unfortunately comes off second best as Rick Vigar sees Stephen Varga go through and up into 15th. Matt Vanderkraan, meanwhile, Ken Ladder back on his tail. So Ladder, look at the spray there on the left. You saw Wayne Walker ahead just tap that puddle on the left-hand side. There's still a dangerous amount of standing water on the outside of that final turn. I'm really surprised we haven't seen anyone lose it as a result.
Yeah, it's impressive, Jared. It's now you were talking before about how it's so scary in those conditions, and I said that to me that was when it was fun. There was water everywhere, but enough grip you can control the slide. In my opinion, this is where it becomes scary, Jared, because you drive around, the car's gripped up, it feels so good, it's a fully dry track, and then suddenly you touch a puddle that you weren't expecting to touch, and the car just behaves in a way that you really don't expect. So these guys, particularly, the boys putting in fast lap after fast lap after fast lap, they're doing a really quality job, because they're having to explore where they can and where they can't go, and it's slightly changing every single lap, as you just saw there. Matt Vanderkraan really getting close in on the curb and just copping a little bit of spray. So there's still just a tiny bit of water floating around.
Take a look at the puddle he hits here. That's it on the inside of the track. It's absolutely hidden. You blink and you miss it. But Jamie Dyke has managed to find that tiny puddle that sits. You can see the little bit of green guttering on the inside of the red and white curbing, and that is full of water still at so many parts of this track. Vanderkraan and Ken Ladder side by side through the final turn. Ladder's going to be careful of that water on the outside. And you see him hit it there. Now, there it is. That was so well handled by Ken Ladder. I thought we were going to see the first person come a cropper there, and he's managed to hang on to it. It's cost him some time, but it hasn't cost him his race. And very, very fortunate. Have a look at this battle up the front, though. Rushworth has Orman, Logsdale, and Wayne Walker right on the tail. Matt Vanderkraan and Ken Ladder are not too far behind. They're closing in very, very quickly to this battle. We are going to have a huge finish, as you see Logsdale getting a bit loose on the acceleration over that crest. It's exactly what we're expecting to see. Just the car's getting very light, and with just a little bit of water still on the track, that could be all it takes to come and bring any one of these drivers undone in the late stages of the second race. We've only got 6 laps to go, and it is still absolutely anyone's race from here.
Yeah, absolutely, and how good to see, a 4-way battle so far into this race. There's 4 guys here who are insanely fast, all battling, and what better way could you ask to finish this race? So it's had a bit of everything, a little bit of wet weather, a little bit of craziness, probably some decisions that drivers wish that they could make again, but importantly, we're 25 out of 30 laps in, and we've got 4 cars spread by somewhere in the vicinity of a second and a half.
Ryan Palmer just setting the fastest lap, almost dipping into the 49s, a 150.02. He is a good, 2 seconds faster than the current pace of these front runners. And that gives you an idea of just how much the battling can slow you down as you see Rushworth head to the inside of the track. Logsdale and Wayne Walker staying on the outside. Now Luke Allman moves back across. Rushworth leaves it very, very late to widen that corner out for himself. And the 4 continue. They'll all be so cautious at this point, won't they? Because they really, really don't want to end their race at this stage. Van der Kraan and Ken Latta side by side. Van der Kraan's got to be careful. There's water out on the left side of the track, although it seems to have dried up pretty nicely now, and Latta gets around the outside. Van der Kraan rather, is going to just tuck in behind on the run down towards this hairpin. You can see the front 4 just ahead. Take a look at them, just the train going through that hairpin. It's really a question of who wants to be brave at this point. They've got to watch the inside of this turn. The water's still there. You can see just shadows of the puddle on the inside of that run, so all the drivers avoiding that like the plague at the moment. Rushworth gets a little bit loose. That might be just enough invitation for Allman. Oh, look at this. Logsdale and Walker are going to be side by side. This is dangerous. Logsdale hits the water, just avoids the rear quarter of Wayne Walker. That was so close. And exactly what these drivers need to be on the lookout for, because there's still plenty of puddles around this track that could bring any one of them undone. Rushworth and Allman out in front. Behind them, Walker and Logsdale in their own battle, and all 4 of them battling with each other. Palmer into the pits with the black flag. I've got to wonder what that's come from. I haven't seen a penalty, so I suspect that's probably an incident count. Brad Hayes also in with a black flag. So many off tracks will bring you in for a drive-through. I reckon that's what we're seeing there. This battle up front will continue as we count down the laps here at Algarve. We're getting closer and closer to the finish, and no closer at the moment to really understanding who's going to take this one out. Luke Allman's got a fantastic run as Rushworth moves to cover the inside of the corner. There's Palmer just on the way out of the pits, waits for the traffic to come through. Wayne Walker is still ahead of Logsdale after that earlier moment. Logsdale, though, will be looking for the opportunity to peel that one back. Rushworth just parks it on the apex. That slows Allman down, and now Wayne Walker's got a shot at making a pass here. He's going to have a fantastic run down towards this hairpin. Allman moves to the inside to defend. He's going to force Walker to make a choice. Walker decides not this time around, back to the outside, and Allman will hang on to that position, gets another shot to pick up his rhythm. But there's Ken Latta and there's Matt Van der Kraan. We're now in a 6-way battle for the lead with only 5 laps, call it 4.5 laps to go in this feature race tonight.
It's massively, impressive to see 6 cars here split by, 2 seconds, but the first 4 by 0.8 of a second, Jared. And it's setting up to be an absolute blockbuster for the last couple of laps. Put yourself in Andrew Rushworth's shoes. He has to hit every single apex. He has to drive a faultless rest of the race. And Luke Allman there in second, absolutely showing just how brave he is by running his car through the puddle. We have seen a number of people come unstuck with that already tonight. As we see there, Logger in the background, absolutely getting sideways and
across the nose. I think there was a bit of door banging there with Ken Latta, and Logsdale's come off second best. Ladder continues on. He's managed to hold it. So we're back down to 3 and a big gap opens up behind. But take a look. Ken Ladder and Matt Vanderkraan side by side down the straight. It's a drag race to turn 1. Vanderkraan has the inside. He'll have the better opportunity through the next couple of turns. He's going to try and force Ken Ladder out wide. He's cut that corner and Ladder's carried a lot more speed through there. I think Vanderkraan was hitting a bit of that water. He's had to back out of it, and Ladder somehow, a little bit of a lock up there, but Vanderkraan jumps the sausage curb, and that's going to slow him right down. They stay side by side though, up and over the crest. There's a bit more contact there. Ladder gets a bit of a nudge, and finally they give each other some space. Ladder's on the inside down towards the hairpin. Vanderkraan's going to try and be late on the brakes. Can he get over or under through the hairpin here? We've got a car off. That's Luke Orman. Luke Orman's come undone while we've been watching this one. It's now Rushworth and Walker out in front. Really unfortunate for Luke Orman. He's been having such a good drive. And now it's down to 2.
Still is Rushworth out the front. He has seen his battle pack go from 6, all the way down to 2. And he still holds Wayne Walker off. These guys will be absolutely, battling to the end. We do see.
Well, there's contact there from Walker. A little bit of door banging, nothing massive in it, but that's what sent Orman.
Well,
best of luck to race control. Enjoy that.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that's called. But these two guys, teammates out the front. Rushworth can probably just breathe a small sigh of relief now, and know that whilst Wayne Walker's not going to hang around and not passing, if there's anyone that you want to be racing at the end, it is your teammate. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Have a look at this group though, just all stacked up behind Joel Oosterwal at the moment in the battle for 9th. So plenty of action going on here. We'll keep a close eye up front because Ken Ladder and Matt Vanderkraan are still going at it. Have a look behind. If only Ryan Palmer wasn't a lap down, he'd be absolutely keen to be involved in this one. As it is, he'll just roll along behind and try not to get into the way too much, I reckon. Ladder and Vanderkraan, plenty of battling left to do. 2.5 laps left in this race. Will it be Rushworth? Will it be Walker? Either way, it looks on track to be Accelerate Sim Racing 1-2 for race number 2. And I can't imagine they'll be too upset with doing that back-to-back here tonight. Ladder and Vanderkraan still to decide this. We've now got a drag race. Oosterwal and Schultz down towards the hairpin. Oosterwal's got the inside. Take an eye on Cudby as he looks up the inside. A little bit of a nudge there, and Oosterwal spins him. And in the background, Jay McKnight gets turned as well. So I don't know how Cudby's managed to take them both there, which may be a little unfair without seeing the replay, but it certainly looks as though that's all come about as a result of that initial contact on the inside of Oosterwal. So here comes Cudby up the inside here, makes contact, accelerates out, and just taps McKnight on the way through. Yeah, look, not a particularly clean moment for anyone caught up in that one.
No, and the poor guys from Fishy, they've had a pretty average night tonight, unfortunately. They've been involved in...
Big moment. That's Rick Feiger and Shane Cudby, both off the track. That puddle strikes again. Well,
yes, it does. There's no doubt about that. But that was a pretty big moment, Jared. And they're probably lucky that was as big as it was.
Feiger mashes the side of Cudby. That puddle. I tell you what, I thought Bathurst had the most dangerous puddle we've ever seen. I'm not convinced that hasn't been replaced here tonight. What a finish to this race. This is absolutely manic at the moment. All of the battles have completely dissolved on track. We had a good couple of groups of 3 or 4 cars there, and in the space of 2 laps, most of them have all been just knocked out by one car or another, hitting a puddle or just misjudging the corner. And all of a sudden we've got a couple of 2 and almost 3-way battles, but that's about it. Everyone else spaced out throughout the field. I'm lost for words, Josh. What a change in the makeup of the Drakes with just a couple of laps left to go.
Jared, if you think the sim racing is boring, you obviously haven't watched this race. There's been a little bit of everything, and that everything goes all the way from some of the very best driving that you'll see, all the way through to, odd things, strange things, things that you wouldn't have gambled on. It has been a fantastic race as we see the Accelerate Sim Racing cars start to move towards the last lap. But we do now jump back to Jamie Dyke, our mate from Fisher Motorsport. He has had a pretty rough night of it, but he is now with Joel.
Troy Sipple in the back, flies off track, didn't hit the puddle, just really misjudged the braking point there.
Yeah, that was absolutely a stamp licked and sent, Jared. But unfortunately,
Dyke's
he was
around.
at the wrong place, and Jamie Dyke having, that nightmare continues, and unfortunately, he just has half a spin all on his own. He will be very, very grateful, Jared, to see the white flag come out as he pulls past us.
Absolutely no doubt. The one to watch here, Ken Latta, really upset the Accelerate Sim Racing's perfect performance here tonight up the front of the field. They took 1-2 in race number 1. They're on track to do it again here. Ken Latta has around about 60% of this lap left at this point. We're almost halfway there. In fact, as we come to this next turn, that's pretty much the halfway point of this lap. So his time is running out, but he is reeling Wayne Walker in. There's not a lot of difference between them. The pace at the moment, I've got to wonder, is a little bit of a nudge along there. I think Walker just trying to hold Ken Latta up. I don't know why Latta would be much quicker at this point. They both got very similar tyre sets, very similar pit in points. Walker's really hugging the inside of that turn there, risking hitting that puddle. But here we go, we're coming around. We've only got a couple of turns left here. Ken Latta, can he throw anything at this to upset the Accelerate Sim Racing dominance at Algarve here tonight? Just a couple more turns to go. Latta right on the tail of Wayne Walker. It's going to come down to that final turn and the exit out of that one, I think, as we'll see them coming around. Just a couple turns here left to go. We'll take the wide shot. Here we go, coming down towards Andrew Rushworth. Looks on track. I don't think Ken Latta's got it in him. We've got just a moment left as we come up to the finish line. A big hit of the water. That's not going to be enough. Accelerate go 1-2. Ken Latta finishes just behind Wayne Walker. The top three separated by less than a second in the end. Luke Orman comes home in 4th. Matt Vanderkraan in 5th. Phil Manuel behind. Then Dean Logsdale, Mark Point and Chad Vigar to come through yet. What a finish to that race. Josh, I don't reckon we've seen anything quite that impressive in quite a while.
That had a little bit of everything, and a huge race, and really, really well done for Andrew Rushworth. We couldn't expect anything less from the Accelerate Sim Racing guys, but Andrew had a lot of cars behind him with 6 laps to go, and he drove an absolutely phenomenal last stint to make sure that he didn't put a foot wrong. And when so many people behind him hit puddles, had spins, got involved in incidents, Andrew Rushworth was simply head down, Jared, and and got to the end in a really fantastic way. Lots and lots of stories up and down the field, really highlighting some disappointment and whatnot. But for Andrew Rushworth, he has done a phenomenal job tonight.
Oh, huge drive. I think Jamie Dyke's going to be super disappointed with his drive. Just seeing that he's appears to have crossed the line with a black flag outstanding. That will absolutely throw him down through the order as well, that he hasn't served that one. It's rough. It's been a rough night for Fishy all around. Getting caught up in all sorts of stuff the evening. But Andrew Rushworth and Wayne Walker, absolutely dominant performance here tonight as we leave them to make their way back to the pits. We'll be chatting to them in just a moment. Let's take a look, though, at the standings from that race. And what a finish it was. Andrew Rushworth and Wayne Walker from Accelerate Sim Racing 1-2. Then Ken Latta and Luke Orman with Matt Vanderkraan in 5th. Phil Manuel and Dean Logsdale behind them. Mark Poynton, Chad Vigar and Craig Schultz rounding out your top 10. Just Mods, mate, I hope you're enjoying it. It's been a bloody good night of racing, and what a night for you to be sitting and watching, hey? I don't think we've had such an exciting sequence of events. We've certainly had moments across all of the racing we've been covering in this round of league seasons, but I tell you what, Algarve is going to be hard to top for the rest of this season, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, look, it's going to be. I don't know whether it's entirely for the track and the quality of it, or just for the weather. Some of the guys watching tonight who decided to have a little bit of a break because they don't like wet weather will be smiling to themselves and very happy with the outcome. But for everyone else involved, what a night. There'll be plenty of people who are incredibly happy, and there's going to be a couple of bad and sorry souls as they pack up tonight, Jared.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly. I'm just looking back because I want to try and get. I really want to take an opportunity to have a look at it earlier. I'm curious as to just what the onboard looked like for Ryan Palmer as it all unfolded with James Hardy earlier on. I don't think we're going to find it in amongst all of that, unfortunately. A super eventful race right throughout tonight, and we'll wait a few moments and see if we do get the boys from Accelerate, or indeed Ken Lattering from Fishy Motorsport, to have a chat to us. But the dominance tonight from Accelerate Sim Racing, they really did take the right call in race number 1. Looked after those wet tyres on the dry and ridiculously hot track that we started with, 50 degrees plus the track conditions for race number 1, and the rain arrived in lap 3, lap 4. They could see it on the horizon. It came down in buckets, and it somehow they had made those tyres last well enough that they continued on and drove it all the way home. And then race number 2, well, a bit of a reverse, wasn't it? We saw a lot of drivers take the gamble on dries early on, and didn't quite pay off perhaps the way they were hoping. Followed very quickly by some of the most eventful racing that we've seen since the Bathurst 1000.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal racing, Jared, and really exciting, and that's all that we can ask for. Weather is the great equaliser, and it certainly did it tonight. And I wouldn't be sad to see more weather as we go this season.
No, look, it always adds a little bit of something, doesn't it? We'll jump now. We might start from the top. Ken Latter still just getting himself out of the car by the look of things, but let's start from the top. Our winner in race number 2 tonight joins us now, Andrew Rushworth. Welcome to the booth, mate. That must feel pretty special to come out on top for that one.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. Yeah, very unexpected.
Well,
very much unexpected.
It may have looked unexpected to you, but from our perspective, I think you were the only one not caught up in too much of it tonight, and really just making the most of being out in front there. How was that start? We were talking a lot here in the booth about the gamble between dries and wets to kick the race off tonight. Looks like you made the right call in the end, but certainly, I'm sure in race number 1 you were a bit on the edge as to whether or not that rain was going to arrive in time for you.
Yeah, race 1, we just decided as a team to take the gamble and start on wets, and yeah, I guess it paid off in the end because we're able to pretty much overtake everyone that needed a pit for wets. So yeah, I'm very happy. It was quite sketchy on the first couple of laps in the dry on wets because of the track temperature, but yeah, sort of just didn't fight anyone, let them pass if they wanted to get past, and just tried not to burn the wets up before it actually started raining.
Mate, a big couple of races for you tonight, some awesome results. We'll take a look at the championship points shortly. Before we let you go and celebrate with the team, though, anyone you want to say hello to or we'll give a shout out to, you've got quite a bit of support coming through in the YouTube chat with a whole lot of congratulations on your results tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, first and foremost, big thanks to ASR League, and everyone that's more Race Control and everyone that helps. You guys for the broadcast, really appreciate it. Love the broadcast. And a big thanks to our sponsors, Abbey Timber, Primer Wheels, Box and Lock Narang, and Modern Deck. And also a big thanks to all my teammates, and yeah, also a special thanks to Luke, to Wayne for sitting behind me towards the end there. I know that he was pretty itching to get past, and I think he just decided to allow me to have the win. So,
Well, look, mate, I will say I've seen other teams who I won't name right now sitting in first and second who have not had the same cool heads as you might have. I'm not pointing any fingers here, but maybe Josh can bring you up to speed on that one another time. Andrew, great
it's really
drive.
good to have. It's good to have great teammates. So to finish P1 and P2 in the first race, the other way around, obviously me in P2, and then to get the win in the feature, I'm stoked with that. So yeah.
As you should be, mate. Well driven. We'll let you get back to it. We might have a chat to your teammate. Hey, congratulations again.
Yep, thanks guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Andrew Rushworth takes the win in race number 2. We'll bring on in the other of the Accelerate Sim Racing pairing. G'day, Wayne. Welcome back to the booth, mate.
How you going?
Oh, look, I don't know who's had the tougher gig tonight. I suspect it's you guys on track, but we've been desperately trying to keep up with what was probably one of the most eventful second races we've seen in a while. It's played out so brilliantly for Accelerate tonight. I know Andrew's real happy with the results. I have no doubt that you would be as well, yeah?
Yeah. Big congratulations to Andrew on his first win. Tonight went pretty well. The second race, I made a few mistakes and then sort of got back up there. I think I might be in a bit of trouble for the incident with Luke Orman. So I just want to say sorry to him as well for that incident.
Wait and see what the stewards have to say with that one, and mate. Yeah, look, honestly, you're on a long list from what we saw tonight. It was absolute chaos in the second half of the race. After that safety car, there was a lot happening, and I'll be honest, we did catch your door to door there with Luke, and it's certainly one of the less challenging ones that I think the stewards will have on their plate in terms of just having to have a close look at it. It was probably not as full on as maybe it felt to you in the car. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm sure Luke appreciates the apologies all the same, mate. It's it was a pretty eventful night. But in the end, as it stands right now, anyhow, Accelerate walking away with a great bunch of points. Andrew's given a shout out to all the usual sponsors, of course. But anyone you want to call out while you're here as well?
Yeah, just you guys for the broadcast. You do an amazing job every week. And all my teammates as well at the Accelerate Sim Racing for all their help and all that. Yeah, it was actually Clifton's idea in the first one to start on the wets, and it paid off massively with the rain coming so early, and we already had wets on that were warmed up, and it was good strategy call there. And then the second race, it's just when it goes from wet to dry, it's so hard because you've got little patches of wet, and the minute you touch them with wets, with dries, you're off.
We saw plenty of that tonight, mate. And I think, look, honestly, a massive shout out to every driver that managed to finish in one piece tonight, because that was half the challenge from where we sat. A great night of racing for Accelerate, mate, no matter what comes from all of the stewards' reviews and the like. Congratulations on what should be, regardless of any changes, a decent haul of points for the team and for each of you up the front there, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. It was still even if I do get a penalty, it still was a good night.
Oh, look, a lot of fun from our perspective. Wayne, congrats again on the results. We'll leave you to go and debrief and probably, like a lot of us, take a bit of a look through some of those replays to see what we can see of all of the chaos. Congrats again on a great night of racing.
Yep, thank you.
Wayne Walker there from Accelerate Sim Racing. We'll take a look at the provisional points now as we kind of try and make sense of where it's all sitting. An interesting set of moves here. Obviously, drop rounds will need to be calculated and recalculated here, Josh. So we'll have a better idea of it at the start of next week, of course. But it looks as though Dean Logsdale will shift up into first. Wayne Walker and Andrew Rushworth will be right there in the mix. Ken Latta maintains his position. Jason Bentz, unfortunately, not having a great night tonight, will likely drop back a bit. And then a few moves here and there. Of course, it's all fairly provisional at this point, isn't it? Until we get into the real depths of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's too early to put any predictions on Jared, but these nights are super important in the long run, and whilst it's it's too early to say that anyone's running away with it. These are the nights that can make and break seasons. So Jason Bentz will be disappointed. You would expect that this would fill the role of a drop night for him, but of course that does mean that he basically has no opportunity for another bad night if he wants to stay right up the pointy end of this championship. It's going to be really exciting to see where things go from here, and as we move on to future weeks and sink our teeth into more and more racing.
Yeah, plenty more to come, of course. Another 7 rounds of this season. There's still heaps of racing left ahead of us, but that will be the checkered flag here tonight for round number 3 at Algarve. It's been a really, really exciting chapter tonight in what is shaping up to be probably one of the most competitive seasons we've seen so far from Alliance Sim Racing. A big thank you, as always, to the sponsors making this all possible. Solagard St. Gobain on board as the major sponsor, but of course Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive, 24/7 Sim Services and Tim Nicol Photography, all contributing in their own ways to making this all happen. Next week we will be back. We're going to leave behind the open curves of Portugal and head to the tight and very unforgiving walls of Belle Isle. We're back to really what is always the spiritual home of any supercar. It's street circuits. It's what it's all about. Until then, though, congratulations, of course, to all of the drivers tonight. It's been a pretty full-on one. From everyone here in the Simple Racing broadcast team and from those at Alliance Sim Racing, a massive thank you to everyone who have been along in the chat tonight and checked it all out with us. It's been a pleasure to have you. Until next time we do see you, though, it is goodbye for now.